Hi everyone, and welcome to Squirrel Pie Productions. My name is Tommi. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as DynamiteTrujillo. Welcome to episode 107. Thank you so much for being here. If you're a new viewer, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, a big welcome back. It is a really windy and rainy and stormy Friday in November here on the Northern California coast where I'm coming to you from. There are show notes available in the description box below. I will link to all of the things that I talk about in today's episode. And I have a lot in today's episode. I have a lot of knitting, some spinning, and just like a bunch of projects. So we are going to get into it with announcements. I have the same announcement that I've had the past couple episodes. We are still running the make and wear along, which is autumn and sweaters. And this is an Instagram make and wear along, so you can post using the hashtag autumnandsweaters2020, and you can post anything about sweaters that you're currently making, any craft is welcome, or handmade sweaters that you're currently wearing this autumn. And it's gonna run until the winter solstice, and then after that I will draw 4 prizes from the hashtag on Instagram. So feel free to go over there and check it out. It's really inspiring. There are a lot of people wearing and making really great sweaters this year, and it's pretty fun. I am wearing a sweater today that I have recently revamped a teeny bit. This is my Strokkur by Isolde Teague, and this is a sweater that I knit, I don't know, a couple years ago maybe. And I knit it using Harrisville Designs Highland wool. It's a worsted weight woolen spun yarn, and I use the colorways charcoal, plum is the purple, and silver mist is the light gray. It's a pullover pattern, and I originally knit it as a pullover, and then sometime later decided that I wanted it to be a cardigan, so I steeked it, added button bands, and added buttons. But the buttons that I originally put on the sweater were too small, and all of the buttons would just pop right open as I wore them, and it was really annoying and really not wearable. So what I did actually is I just didn't wear it for a while because the buttons were too small, it didn't work, and I was too lazy to find new buttons and switch them out. So I didn't wear it for a while, and then I went on to make another sweater, which was by Becky Sorensen. It was a test knit, and it was called the Telegram cardigan, and that called for buttons that were the size that I originally had on this sweater. So I stole like half of the buttons from this sweater and put them on that sweater, and so then this really sat unused because it had half of the buttons on it and half of them missing, and the ones that were on it were too small anyway. So I just recently got some new buttons. They're just some really basic, cheap black plastic buttons, and I finally took the rest of the other buttons off and put these new buttons on. They're bigger and they work perfectly now, so now it stays closed. The way that I like to wear this sweater is just kind of buttoned up the top 4, and then I leave the rest of them open. And it's actually really nice that I did this to this sweater because I've been thinking about my Telegram cardigan lately. I have it in a project bag, even though it's an old finished object. This isn't it. Which one is it? Okay, nope, this isn't it either. I didn't bring it. Hold on, I'll be right back. Is this it? This is it. So this is my Telegram, and it's open right now, so it's kind of hard to see it, but it's a raglan cardigan with a broken rib stitch and some cables along the side. These are the buttons that I stole from my Strokkur, and I've been wanting to lengthen this cardigan for a while, so I've got it back in the project bag. I've got the rest of the yarn that I didn't use, which is almost an entire cake of it's Mondim by Retrosaria, and it's the Quartz Fumé colorway. It was dyed by La Bien-Aimée, so it was a collaboration, Mondim yarn dyed by La Bien-Aimée in the Quartz Fumé colorway. And since I took off the old buttons from this sweater. I've got 3 more of them that I can use. Oh, hi. So I've got 3 more. So what I'm gonna do is lengthen this sweater. And to do that, I have to rip out the button band. And I'm gonna rip out the button band, take all these buttons off, and I'm just gonna lengthen the ribbing, the 1x1 ribbing by, I don't know, maybe an inch or 2, and redo the button band. And now that I have these extra buttons, I'll probably need more buttons. So that's kind of another project I have coming up that I am able to do because I fixed this sweater finally. So I'm pretty excited about that. So that is my Strokkur. That is what I'm wearing. It's a really great sweater. I love this yarn and I love my color choices. So let's move on to finished objects. I have a few. And the first is a pair of socks. This is my pair of vanilla socks that I finished. It's knit in Murray & Co. Wool Goods. Is that what it is? Yeah, Murray & Co. Wool Goods in the, I don't know what colorway it is. I forgot. Did I write it down? Okay, I found my leftover ball. It's the Love Letter colorway. And it's pinks and purples and grays with like black and red speckles. Here is the other one. And I did a 64 stitch cuff and I used a size 0 needle. I did a 2x2 ribbing for the cuff, a heel flap and gusset, and what I call a plain wedge toe. I don't know if that's actually what it's called, but wedge toe, rounded toe, I have no idea. It's the kind where you decrease for every other row, 2 on each side, until you get to like, I think I go to like, I just go until it fits. And I think this was like 8 stitches maybe, and then a Kitchener. And this is what I have left over, so I have quite a bit left over. And it's the Love Letter colorway in the classic sock base. So it's a 75/20 superwash merino nylon, and it's very nice. I like these socks a lot. And that is them. I started these socks in February of this year, and so I'm happy to get them off the needles because I have started another pair of socks, which I will tell you about in a couple minutes after I'm done telling you about all of my FOs. I only have 3 more and they're all kind of the same. So I made some more washcloths. I got some Red Heart Scrubby thanks to a commenter last week who led me in the right direction. I talked about a yarn last episode that I had seen Allie of Little Drops of Wonderful use for a dishcloth or a washcloth or something. And this commenter reminded me of what that yarn is called, so I bought some. It's by Red Heart. It's called Scrubby. I got 2 different ones. This is the regular Scrubby, and it is 100%, I don't know what it is. What is it? Polyamide? Nylon? Something like that? Let's see. Polyester. 100% polyester. And it's an Aran weight, but it's got, it looks like that. So it's got all these little like, ooh, these have a name. When you're spinning, these are like pigtails or something. I don't know what they're called. I've never actually done it in spinning, but it's an art yarn technique. And so it's just really, it becomes really abrasive when you knit or crochet it up. And this is the Scrubby in the jelly colorway. And then I also got this one, which is Red Heart Scrubby Cotton. And it's the same style of yarn, but it's 100% cotton instead of polyester. So I got them both to try. And the first washcloth that I made, I should say, in case you missed the last episode or don't remember, I'm experimenting with making washcloths for me to use in the shower, on my body and on my face. I want to have some bigger ones and some littler ones because I'm tired. I usually use like loofahs, like the kind you get from the ocean. They're really exfoliating, really abrasive, but they only last a little while and then you throw them away and you have to buy more. And so I want something that I can reuse forever. So I'm experimenting with different ones. Now, last time I made a face cloth that was just 100% cotton, like dish cotton, And it was okay, but it wasn't exfoliating or abrasive enough for me. And so I found this stuff, and the first thing I did was I made the Gramma, it's called Gramma's Dishcloth, and then in parentheses, it's grandmother's second favorite. It's by PJ Allen. And I think it's just like her second version of her original dishcloth pattern. And this is it. And what I did with this first one is I held the scrubby, the polyester scrubby, together with just some plain dish cotton. That is this. And this is Knit Picks Dishy in the Kenai colorway. So I held these two together, and I used a size 10, and I just knit this. And it's a diagonal square, so you start at one point and you increase and then you decrease down, and there's eyelets for the increases and the decreases, and this is a free pattern. I also added a little loop at the top so that I can hang it on a little hook I have in my shower, and I just did some, I don't know what you call it, like a crochet chain a little bit, and then I just kind of wove the ends in really tight. So this is the first one I made. I thought I would kind of cut the polyester with some cotton, and that would be nice. And I like it. It works really well. And then the next one I made is with just the polyester scrubby. So this is the Red Heart Scrubby Polyester in the Jelly colorway. And for this pattern, I used a pattern called Scrubby Set by Bee Hooked Crochet. And this is another free pattern. It's a crochet pattern, and it comes with a pattern for 2 different kinds of scrubbies or washcloths or whatever. This one is supposed to be like a dishwashing like sponge, but I made it anyway for the shower, and it's really thick, and this one is just the polyester. So how you make this one is you chain on some stitches, and then you knit like you crochet a tube using, I think it's called like double post crochets or something like that. They're really easy, and it makes it really easy to crochet with this kind of yarn, because as you might imagine, it's pretty difficult to recognize stitches in this yarn. So that's a really easy way to crochet into just the big open post rather than crocheting into like a little stitch. So you just crochet a tube, and then you pretty much smash the tube down and sew it shut in the middle. So it's really thick. It is like a sponge. And then the other pattern that came in that set is this one, and this one I think is supposed to be like a face cloth. And for this one I used just the scrubby cotton, and it's just a little circle crocheted, and then it's got a little loop at the top too. And those are all of the washcloths that I have made in the past couple weeks. I kind of wanted to experiment with different kinds and different textures and different materials, and so far I don't know which one I like best. I know I like this one the least, and that is pretty much, I think, because it's supposed to be a dishwashing sponge. So it's just really like thick and kind of awkward. I like the design of these two. I think I would like this one a little smaller and this one a little bigger, but I like both of the scrubby yarns a lot. I really do. Like I said, it wasn't the easiest thing in the world to knit or crochet with, but it really wasn't that bad either. Like, I just kind of had to pay attention. It wasn't that hard. And for the crocheted ones, I used a 5.5mm hook. I think there are going to be more of these in my future. I only have a tiny bit of the purple left, but I have a lot of the cotton yellow left. So I'm going to make some more, probably some more just square ones, maybe in just the scrubby yarn, a little smaller. I might do more where I hold the scrubby together with some regular cotton. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see. But kind of the idea is to have a bunch of these kinds of things so that I can use them every day and never get rid of them. And all of these scrubby projects are living in my Woodsy and Wild bag with the crows on it. And that is it for my finished objects. I will move on now to works in progress, and I have started quite a little number of new projects. The first that I will show you is a pair of socks, and this pair of socks is living in a project bag that I made. It's got a unicorn on it, And it's a drawstring bag, and it's a drawstring like sock sized bag that I made. This is a prototype for something exciting that I'm working on for Moonstone Dyeworks, which is going to be like a limited edition holiday thing. So keep an eye out for that. I am going to be doing pretty much little kits in my shop for the holidays. So that's going to be all ready to go up in the shop at either at the end of November or the early part of December. So I'm going to make some bags, and this is the prototype, so the final bags will be a little bit different. They're drawstring and they're sock sized, and they're going to be coming with a mystery mini skein set, which are gonna vary. There's gonna be a lot of different ones, and then I'm considering making stitch markers to go with the set as well. I'm not sure about that though. I'm working on it. So this is the first one I made. It's got that unicorn, it's got a contrasting top, and I lined it with this coordinating snail fabric. So living in here is a new sock cast on, and this is my Moonstone Dyeworks Cassiopeia colorway. And this is my Merino Sport base, so it's 100% superwash sport weight yarn. It's there's no nylon in it, but it's a high twist, and I am making a pair of socks. So that's what I have so far. I've got my Coochie Copy Progress Keeper from Charmed and Dangerous. Coochie Copy is a character from Bob's Burgers, which is a great show on television. I'm knitting these, since it's a sport weight sock, I'm knitting them on a size 1 on my Chiaogu Mini Twist interchangeables. And for the first time ever, I'm doing a ribbed sock for myself. So I cast on 56 stitches using a German twisted cast on, and I did a 1x1 ribbing for the cuff. And I'm doing a 3x1 rib for the rest of the sock. And I love it. I love how it's turning out. I think it's going to be a really nicely fitting sock. And I'm totally fine knitting it. Like, I thought it was going to be less fun than a regular just plain stockinette sock, which is super easy and mindless. But it isn't less fun. I like it, and it's not really much more work. It's just, you know, it's the purl every few stitches, so you kind of have to pay attention and count and just like make sure you are where you are. But it's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. So I'm really enjoying it, and that is pretty much it. These are my Cassiopeia socks, and I think they're gonna go by pretty fast because they're sport weight, which is really nice, and I think they're gonna be really nice to wear in the winter months because they'll be a little warmer, a little stretchier, and I think they'll be a little more comfortable than just my normal plain stockinette sock. So I'm pretty stoked on those socks and on my new bag. Okay, my next work in progress is living in my Sugar Tots bag. And this is a stuffy that I'm making for a friend of mine who is having a baby soon. And this is the Wasabi pattern by Susan Claudino, and it's a whale. And this is what it looks like so far. It looks very weird so far. Let's see, how does it go? I think it goes like this. This is it so far. This is my whale. So I'm using this hand spun, which is some fiber that I spun up a pretty long time ago. Longtime viewers might recognize it as some yarn that I've knit up a couple other stuffies from. I've used this hand spun to knit up a heart stuffy, like a stuffed heart, and then also an octopus stuffy for my daughter Lucy. And it's just this never-ending ball of awesome hand spun. It's about a worsted weight, and the fiber was Anzula fibers, and it's 100% organic merino. I don't remember the colorway name. It was something ocean themed, so it's fitting. And it's really nice to work with. It's really nice to be working with it again. It's blues and grays, and the way that it's spun up, they pretty much stripe, kind of like big fat gradient stripes. And So you start at the nose here and you just kind of make a big bulb, and then it'll go off into a little tail with little fins, and it's got little fins that are going to come out the sides. You're supposed to do, I think they're called safety eyes, like the plastic eyes that aren't buttons that you sew onto stuffies. It calls for those with some felt backing. I'm not doing that though. For one, I think if I was going to do something plastic, I would just do buttons and sew them on, but it's going to be for a newborn, so I figured safer and easier bet is just to do some embroidery. So for the eyes, I used some Brooklyn Tweed Shelter or Loft, the worsted weight one, in the cast iron colorway that I have left over, and I just really kind of sloppily embroidered on some eyes, but it works. And I'm gonna start stuffing it soon, and yeah, I like how it's coming out. If you can see that striping on there, I think it looks really cool. And I'm knitting this on a US size 5. And like I said, it's about a worsted weight-ish kind of yarn. It's so soft. I love working with this. I'm wondering if this is going to be the last project I get out of this ball. We'll see. Oh, it's just so nice. So that is my whale stuffy. And it's going by really quick. It's pretty fun to work on. I like it a lot. My next work in progress is another new cast on. So I have been working on a shop update that, like I said earlier, is going to happen at the end of November or the beginning of December. There's going to be a lot of really cool stuff in it. Pretty much the kits. I'm making holiday kits, and I'll talk about it more later, a little bit more. I kind of already told you everything. But I also have dyed a brand new colorway for that update. It's not a holiday colorway, but it is this, and it's called Dark Crystal. It's a colorway that I kind of had in my head for a while, and I finally kind of worked it out and made it. And so I've dyed a bunch of this so far. It's not available yet, but it will be available in my next update. And I just couldn't wait, and I really needed to cast something on in it. So I snagged 4 skeins for myself. This is the Merino Sport Base, and I cast on a sweater. So I am making the Ramona Light, which is a top-down raglan cardigan. And it's the sport weight version of the regular Ramona, which is an Aran weight pattern, which I have already made in the past. I've knit that out of Barrett Wool Co. in the worsted weight one. It's Susan B. Anthony's yarn line. I got it at Stitches West a couple years ago, and I made the Ramona originally out of that. So now I'm making the sport weight one, and I've cast on with Dark Crystal. I really like it. I like it like a whole lot. So these are the 2 cakes I'm using right now. I am alternating skeins, and I'm knitting this on a US size 5. And I did swatch. Do I have my swatch? I do. Look at me. So here's my swatch. I did get gauge pretty much exactly. And I think this is going to be really great. I'm so excited about it. I love this colorway like a lot. I've been thinking about it for a while. I'm so glad I finally made it. So it's pretty much modeled black and pink, and it gives a purple effect overall. I really like it. So that's what I'm making with Dark Crystal, and it's in the sport weight 100% superwash merino base. And eventually, when my project gets big enough, I have deemed this Tilting Planet Progress Keeper for it. Because it matches, because it's got purple stars in it. This Progress Keeper matches so many of my projects. And this sweater I think is going to be really nice because it's a top-down raglan. It's going to have buttons up the front. And I think it's going to be a little bit fitted, a little, not cropped, but it's not going to be really long. And so I think it's going to be really nice Even in the winter months, it doesn't get too cold here, and even if it's too cold for a sport weight sweater, I'll wear it later. But I do plan on altering like one or two things with it, pretty much one thing. So the hem, and I think the button band, and I think the cuffs are all what I think is a broken rib, I think. And I'm gonna switch that all to ribbing, to probably 1x1 ribbing. I did the broken rib on my original Ramona, and it's fine, but I think I would just prefer something a little plainer, I guess, or something that pulls in a little more at those points, rather than, because broken rib doesn't really pull in the way regular ribbing does, right? It just kind of lays there kind of flat without the negative ease. And so I think I want that in this sweater, is that negative ease in the bottom. And I think I'm gonna do a really thick, long bottom hem. So I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's gonna be really nice. And that is living in a project bag that I made out of some Gasly's fabric. This is a project bag I made myself a pretty long time ago. And spoiler, there's gonna be a lot. I'll tell you later. Gasly's are coming though. Okay. My next work in progress is the very last one for this episode, and it is my Mazzy cardigan. I am working on 2 sweaters at the same time right now. I would like to officially take back everything I said last week about this sweater and about woolen spun yarn. I regret it, and I didn't mean it, I promise. I think I was just going through something. But last week I was kind of talking about how I wasn't really enjoying working with woolen spun yarn, and I think it's kind of like an epiphany that maybe I don't love working with woolen spun yarn as much as I thought I did. And it's just not true, guys. It's just not true. I do love it. I love it so much. Look at this yarn. It's beautiful. First, let's talk about this yarn. So this is Harrisville Designs Nightshades. It is a woolen spun worsted, no, a DK weight yarn. It's 100% non-superwash Cormo. This is in the Insomnia colorway, and it is all tangled up. But here it is in the skein. I bought this at Stitches West 2020 last February when we were still going to wool festivals. And it's really pretty. It's mostly black with just hints of like an olive green. And this is what I have so far. So this is the body. It is done up to the arm separation. And it's mostly just stockinette, but they're not button bands. The collar band, I guess, is a 2x2 rib with some really tiny little cables on every other knit rib. It's not going to have buttons. It's going to be an open cardigan, and it's longer. It has pockets. It will have pockets. Those are kind of the proto pockets right now. And here is my beautiful concha stitch marker from La Serena Tejera. And I do really like working on it. I think what I was feeling was the winter time making my hands very dry. And when your hands are really dry and when you're working with some yarn that is a little stickier, it can kind of stick to your hands and make it a little annoying. But I have been able to remedy that by moisturizing more. And I do really love working with this yarn. It's so pretty. It's going to be so great to wear. I cannot wait until this is done. So I've got the body all done. It is, I was going to tell you how many inches it is. Maybe 18? I don't remember. I don't know. I have no idea. But it's a nice long cardigan, which I like in an open fronted cardigan. And so I've started the sleeves. Here's the first sleeve. And you do the sleeves bottom up just like the body. So I did a 2x2 rib for the cuff. And I'm working on my increases right now. I'm marking them all with these bulb stitch markers. I've got this stitch marker, which is a really cool soldered glass, I think it's glass, stitch marker from Chevyrell stuff. And I am knitting it on a US size 7 on my Lick It interchangeable needles. I think all my knitting needles so far have been my Lick It interchangeables. I have a long set and a short set. I like them both very much. They're on purple cables because they're my Knit Picks cables, which are interchangeable with the Lickas. I had a Knit Picks wooden interchangeable set. I still have it as my very first interchangeable needle set I ever got, and it's great. It was really great. It worked well for me for many years, and the cables are really nice. I eventually upgraded just because I wanted to, and I really like them, to the Lickas. I got the long set and the short set, and I like the Knit Picks cables better than the Licka cables. I still use the Licka cables. They're fine. They're just a little bit thicker and a little bit stiffer, and I like that the Knit Pick ones are a little bit more flexible. So I use them both. I just keep them all together. And yeah, this is moving right along. The sleeve is actually going by a lot more nicely than the body. I don't know why. I think it's because it's more akin to knitting a sock. Maybe it's satisfying my vanilla sock craving right now, which I'm not doing in sock form. So I did consider doing 2 at a time for the sleeves. I kind of often consider doing 2 at a time for sleeves when I'm doing sleeves, but I never actually do it. I think I've done it once and I didn't love it. And I think mostly the reason why I don't try it again is just because it takes more setup and I'm just too lazy to try something new. But this is fine. This is totally fine. Yeah, so I have this big cake plus this whole skein plus a little cake that's still attached to the main body of the sweater left. So I'm gonna have plenty of yarn, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have plenty of yarn. And I love it. I love this sweater. I still am in a similar place to last time where I really just want it to be done, but I am enjoying working on it a lot more than I was 2 weeks ago. So that's good. And this, a project, is living in my fat squirrel project bag with the birds on it. Okay. That is all my knitting and crochet. I have been spinning. I spent about 2 days worth of my free time just doing nothing but spinning instead of knitting or crocheting or anything. And it was so much fun. I'd had this fiber sitting on my spinning wheel for a really long time, probably a year now. I got this fiber at a local fiber festival called the Natural Fiber Fair here in Arcata, California last year, which was last September. And I think I started spinning it right away. And I only got a little bit of the way through and then I stopped. But I finished it, and here is what I have. So this fiber is Mendocino Woolen Fiber ink. And this is a spinning mill in, ooh, I don't know, it just says Northern California. It's somewhere in Mendocino, which is the next county down from my county, which is Humboldt County. And it's 100% California grown Corriedale and Romney. Grown, sheared, and processed in Northern California. So this was really exciting for me to find. It's a part of the Fiber Shed community, which is a really neat organization. I honestly don't know much about them. It's pretty much an organization that is like a co-op of maybe farmers and mills, something. It's like a wool co-op for sustainably grown wool and stuff. And so it's a member of that. And it was really great. I bought 6 ounces of fiber from them. They vended at the Fiber Fair last year. And I kind of got it in hopes that I can make like a little cropped sweater or top or something. I'm not going to do that. That's not going to happen. I ended up with about an Aran weight. And it's a 2-ply, mostly woolen spun yarn. I have a shocked ladybug wheel, and I love it. It's like my favorite, and I don't think I will ever get another spinning wheel because I think it's the best, and I love it. So I spun it up on that, and kind of I'm not a very consistent spinner. I typically do some kind of combination of worsted and woolen spinning with forward and backward drafting, and just I'm all over the place because I kind of have to do what's comfortable for me in the moment. And so that's what I do. This was mostly woolen spun though. I mostly long drew. I spun this with mostly a long draw. And I think the reason why I put it down for so long is because that was a little difficult for me to do at first. I was just kind of having trouble with the fiber and I felt like I was kind of fighting it. I don't often do a long draw, so I think that was just part of it. So I think I got annoyed and put it down for a very long time. And when I picked it back up, it just kind of happened and it felt really natural to do the long draw, and it was like super quick and it was really easy and it was really great. So that was awesome. I finished it really fast. Yeah, it's a 2-ply, about an Aran weight. And I like it quite a bit. It's super soft and bouncy and squishy because it's woolen spun. Oh, there's so much air in here. And I ended up getting 168 grams to, I put anywhere between 300 and 316 yards. I wind my yarn on a nitty knotty, which is not that accurate, I don't think, especially when you count your yardage on the nitty knotty before you wash it. So I counted 316 yards, but I'm assuming I was off about 16. So somewhere in that range. And I love it. I kind of was thinking maybe I would do like a shawl or something with it, but I don't think I have enough yardage for any kind of like good sized shawl. So I'm not sure what I'll do with it yet. Maybe I'll spin up some more yarn and kind of combine it with this and do like a 2-color project. I'm not sure yet. The original intention with this fiber was to spin it up with some Rolex that I had gotten at that same fiber festival. And I started doing that when I first started spinning this. And that first like couple yards is still in here, which you can kind of see right there. They were purple, and I thought it would be cool to have just like some pops of color through it with these Rolex, but that was way too difficult to do, so I stopped doing it. And then when I was done spinning this, I picked up those Rolex again because I was keeping them in the same bag, and I spun them up on their own. So this is my other little mini skein, and these, I had like 4 of these Rolex, and they were so horrible to spin. They were not fun. They were just terrible to spin. I felt like I was just like ripping fiber apart the whole time. I felt like it was all tangled. Like it didn't feel felted. It just felt, it felt poorly prepared, and it wasn't like a specific blend of anything. It was just, she had like a bunch of Rolex at this booth that were kind of leftovers that were blended together, so they were all unspecific stuff, like wool and sparkly stuff and stuff like that. And she didn't have like, it wasn't like a dyer or anything, it was just somebody who had a booth set up there who was selling like a bunch of different things, and she just had like a little basket of Rolex that I thought looked cool, and they weren't great. But it's okay, I got them in a little skein. I fought with it until the very end, and I spun it up and I plied it. It's a 2-ply. She did have, like, she sewed too, so she sold all kinds of like clothing and stuff like that. I also bought from her a little elephant stuffy for Lucy that was sewn out of old jeans, and that was great. So like, I'm not trying to diss this random lady that you don't know and that I don't know either, but her Rolex sucked. But I'm glad I got it done. I don't know what I'll do with it. I think it turned out to be like a DK weight-ish. It's not very much. So I'll figure out something to do with that too. But that's my spinning. I do have some other fiber that I picked out of my fiber stash to get on the wheel next, so I'm excited about that. I think it's Into the World in like it's like moonshine and whiskey bogs. No, it's like I don't know what it is, but it's something about bogs and moonshine colorway. It's like a lot of browns and grays and like kind of dingy golds and stuff. It's cool. I actually think it might look pretty good with my Mendocino wool handspun. So that is it for spinning. I am going to move on now to just a little bit of shop update talk. I don't have a shop update this week, but I kind of want to tell you a little bit more about what I'm planning to do for the holidays. So keep an eye out in like 2 to 3 weeks. I will have a podcast before I put the shop update out so that you can know about it. I'm also going to put it up on Instagram when I know the date, and hopefully send out a newsletter. For those of you signed up to my newsletter, thank you for being there. I haven't done a newsletter in a while, but I might do one for this one just so that you know when to look for it, because it's going to be pretty cool. So the first thing, and like I said, I'll let you know the date, but it's going to be in a few weeks. The first thing that I'm going to do is I plan to dye, for the first time ever, all of my past Christmas and holiday colorways. So I'm going to do every holiday colorway I've ever come up with, including a new one for this year. So I usually just do a new one every year, and that's kind of it. But now I want to do all of them. So I'm going to have all of my holiday colorways available. I'm also going to do, like I said earlier, I'm going to do kits. So the kits are going to be mystery mini skein sets, and I'm dyeing all of these mini skeins new for these kits. I think, I haven't worked out the total details yet, but I think it's going to be 5 mini skeins per set, 20 gram mini skeins. And it'll come with a project bag. And so these project bags are just going to be made for now, for this holiday season. And that's it for me making project bags in the foreseeable future, at least as far as I know. And I think I'm going to do a progress keeper, and it'll come with a couple of other little goodies. And I think I might do an option for an additional full-size mystery skein that I'll dye up especially for these kits. So that's going to be really exciting. I'm going to try to do as many of them as I possibly can because I want them to be easily available to everybody. And I will have a couple of other new colorways as well going up in this update, like dark crystal. So that's pretty much it for that one. I'm going to have all my holiday colorways, a couple new colorways, and these kits that I have been working really hard on and I'm really excited about. Also, I should have mentioned this at the beginning, but I'm having a sale right now to kind of move through my autumn stuff before I put my Christmas stuff and holiday stuff into the shop. So for the past week or so, I've been running a 15% off sale, anything in the shop off the total order. It's going through this Saturday, which right now is tomorrow. So today and tomorrow, I've upped the sale to 20% off. So just to kind of, at the very end, give you a little more if you want it. So if you're interested in seeing what's in the shop, I still have my autumn stuff up, and that's gonna all be on sale through tomorrow for 20% off. So check that out if you're interested. Thank you for listening to my spiel and supporting my shop if you want to. Okay. Moving on to favorites. I have one favorite today, and it's an acquisition, and it's pretty great. Pretty excited about it. So I placed an order with Woolen Forest, who is Maria, and her Etsy shop, I think, is called Forest Charm. I'll link to it in the show notes. And she is a stitch marker maker, and she makes really, really beautiful stitch markers. She works a lot with gemstones, which I really like. I'm huge into gemstones and rocks and crystals and anything geological that you find in nature. I really love that stuff, hence Moonstone Dyeworks. So I bought a couple of her stitch markers. She had a Halloween update, so a lot of it was Halloween themed, which I also really love. And I just really love what she had this round, so I got a Moon Progress Keeper, and this is the thing that really made me go, yeah, I need to buy some stuff because I really, 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 really need this in my life. This is a crow, and I think I went on a little spiel in a previous episode about how crows are my favorite birds, so I love it. I love this Crow Progress Keeper. She also included this stitch marker, which is so beautiful. I don't know what stone this is, but it's gorgeous. And it's like really pretty and like raw cut looking too. I love it. So thank you so much, Maria. Also, some pumpkin spice tea. And that is what I got from her shop. If you haven't checked it out yet, I definitely think you should. If you haven't checked out her podcast yet, you definitely should, because it's really, really great. She's Maria, and it's Woolen Forest Knits, and I will link to that in the show notes too. So I think that's it for today. Is that it for my favorites? Oh, I forgot. Okay. So I forgot to mention in the shop update part, another thing about these kits that I'm really excited about is that I have a stash of Ghastly's fabric in my fabric stash that I got several years ago, and I've been hoarding it, and I'm finally using it for this update. So many of the bags that are going to be available in those kits are Ghastly's fabric, just like that zipper bag that I showed you earlier. That's the only time I've used it to make myself that bag, and so I've finally broken into a lot of it. And one of the Ghastly's prints that I have is a Christmas themed one, and it's so amazing. I can't wait to show you. So the next episode, I'm going to be actually showing you the bags that I've made and the yarn and stuff. So, okay, I hope you're having a really great November. I hope you're doing well and staying safe and having fun. And if the weather isn't going outside worthy where you are, I hope you're staying inside and being cozy and working on stuff and drinking some good beverages. I will see you all next time, probably in 2 or 3 weeks. Thank you so much to my Patreon supporters. If you're interested in checking that out, you can check out the description box below. There is a link. By signing up, you can get yarn and an entry into a quarterly drawing where I make you something. So if you're interested, check that out. And thank you to those of you who participate. If you're wearing sweaters or making sweaters right now and you're on Instagram, go check out the hashtag autumnandsweaters2020. I would love to see you there. And I hope you're having fun and staying awesome. Bye.